I love you, 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 I love you.
So we've been down to the creek this last week. We went down there 3 times. I haven't seen them yet.
This is my favorite.
Yeah.
I feel that when I go, it'll be with dignity and lots of love around me. So what more could you ask?
Loving moments with her family are some of the most cherished memories of Waldine Whitney's life. With 2 daughters, 7 grandchildren, and 12 great-grandchildren, these memories permeate her family home, which is filled with the people she holds closest to her heart.
Those are my blessings and my treasure. I couldn't ask for anything better. They have been so wonderful. My family's gonna be very hard to leave, that's the thing.
My grandma would rather be at home than anywhere else, you know, and she's comfortable here. She's spent 42 years in this house, so I think this is where she'd like to go.
When Waldine was told she was dying of pancreatic cancer and had just months left to live, she knew calling Hospice of the Valley would ease the way for those she loved.
The idea of hospice is to be able to spend your last days, weeks, months at home while somebody else is helping provide your care. Hospice of the Valley is a not-for-profit public benefit corporation. We're the oldest nonprofit hospice in Santa Clara County. The generosity of our community really supports about 40% of our operation.
Hospice of the Valley's professional staff and trained volunteers go to a patient's home to provide care, giving them the choice to die in the place they live and love.
Hospice care provides all of the services, that's all of the disciplines, nurse, social worker, home health aide, chaplain, volunteers.
Just be comfortable. Rest your head. That's it.
And all of the medications, the equipment, and the supplies related to the terminal illness.
So we'll stick to one of these every 8 hours.
Okay.
Hospice is about caring. It's about caring with a heart. And it's about caring for all of the needs of a family and a patient who are in the process of coming to the end of life.
My mom is very precious to me. And I wanted to do all I could for her. Until hospice came in to give me guidance and direction. All I could do was, you know, bring her what she needed, and I can still do that, but at least wise I know that it's all right if she takes more of this medicine or less or what have you.
Patients receiving Hospice of the Valley care immediately benefit from comfort and ease of pain and symptoms.
Chronic pain is so damaging to the soul. I will not let a patient in my care have the sun set with them in pain.
They fine-tune it. You get just enough of the right thing to make it come out right, and that comfort for these precious days is wonderful.
I always like to say to families, okay, the aggressive curative treatment has stopped. Now we'll start the aggressive comfort treatment to make sure you have the best quality of life that we can give you.
Many hospice-trained volunteers help provide that comfort, assisting patients in various ways and giving caregivers needed breaks.
This is Jane, who's chaplain from Hospice of the Valley. Remember we said she was coming out.
Hi, Jane.
We know that for our patients, their suffering isn't only physical. There's a lot of suffering around the areas of loss in their lives, And what a chaplain does is you provide a listening ear to them, to provide comfort in the spiritual level.
Not to say religious necessarily, but we all have a spiritual dimension which speaks to what life is all about for us, what the meaning of our existence has been, how we feel about what's going to happen in the process of leaving this life.
I think being able to see what Sam really is feeling inside, you know, and maybe we can bring that together so that I do minister to the religious needs of the patients. But I even go out to see people who profess to have no belief in a God at all.
A patient is accepted into Hospice of the Valley when diagnosed as terminally ill with 6 months or less to live. They have exhausted all treatment aimed at cure, or, like Mr. Trong Nguyen, chosen not to pursue any further treatment. Preparing the family for what will happen as their loved one's disease progresses, especially those last moments of life, is a valued part of the hospice experience.
Given that the cancer was in his lungs, I had a fear, you know, that he would die, you know, gasping for air, and that was such, you know, I couldn't sleep about that fear.
Nathan Estiva was just 12 years old when he was diagnosed with adrenal cancer. One of the few hospices in the Bay Area to offer pediatric care, Hospice of the Valley was equipped to calm his mother's fears of what would happen as Nathan's young life was brought to a close.
The chaplain spoke to me about it, and the nurse, and it really calmed my fears, and it just put me at ease to the point where I said, okay, that's not how it's going to happen. And, you know, he died peacefully, you know, just like they said it would.
I said a prayer, and then Alma said the prayer.
And then we knew that our next call was to call the nurse.
Yeah.
And
we called,
and they were here, you know, within a half an hour.
I think the comfort that parents can have in hospice is we're available to them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
I hold a special place in my heart for them, and that they really came at a time when I needed them the most. And that they helped us to enjoy and to improve the quality of life of our son.
My name is Jonathan. I lost my brother, and he was most important to me. Well, he became a fireman, an honorary fireman for 6 hours.
When Jonathan Estiva's big brother Nathan passed away, Hospice of the Valley knew the 7-year-old would need support to help him reach a true understanding and acceptance that the person who had taught him how to play video games, who had been his role model, was gone.
Children grieve differently than adults. They don't talk through their grief necessarily. They'll play it out. You can see a lot in their art. And they benefit from talking with each other in small groups.
I felt like one of my most prized possessions was missing.
We provide services to our families for 13 months, which is, I think, a wonderful gift to them. And especially in a culture that does not deal with death and thinks that we get 3 days off for bereavement leave and then we get back to normal. The reality of it is it's a very long process.
A 13-month program helps families get through the first anniversary of a loved one's death. Bereavement support is offered to all members of the community, not just those whose loved ones died in hospice care.
I can't take anymore.
We rejoice when you cry here because it tells me that you are dealing with some of those emotions, and tears are very healing.
Always smiling.
New people come in and they think they're crazy, and their feelings and their thoughts don't make sense to them.
Howard Lewis lost his high school sweetheart and wife of 47 years.
You hear other people make the statements that you've been thinking, and you say, wow, they feel like that.
I became a cocoon or a caterpillar, or, you know, getting underneath the covers and never wanting to come out. Well, I knew I had to.
Or they'll say, I have to clean out the closet. I have to take her clothes out of the closet, but I can't. And I listened to that and thought, no, I'm not ever going to do that. I can't touch her clothes. They're too personal. And the comment usually is, well, you will when you're ready. And you do when you're ready.
I got the sense after about a month that from his friends and family, you ought to be over this.
They don't want to hear about it either.
Why are you still
Get
acting
over
like
this.
it? Yeah.
When are you going to pull yourself
get
together?
Past it. Yeah. And I don't know when you get past it. I don't know when if you ever get past it.
I don't know what people did before hospice. I can't imagine. I can't imagine how you get through the first year of grief.
And then we saw the end of the rainbow, and it was so beautiful.
It's been more than a year since Kelly Pearman joined Kids Group at Hospice of the Valley after her brother Justin passed away.
As kids, you really want to be like everybody else, and to suddenly have this huge thing that sets you aside and separate. So to be with a group of kids that have also lost, she's said that's been very meaningful to her.
Thanks to the bereavement support at Hospice of the Valley, the Pearmans have reached a place where they are now ready to reinvest in Justin's life by keeping him alive in their memories. A garden at his old school, a sportsmanship award given out in his name, and a memory box Kelly made in group.
A piece of it, right?
That is a little box where they're going to keep things that are precious to them of the one that died.
When Justin passed away, there were people around for a few days, and then we had the funeral, and then that was it. Nobody was around. Do you remember that? It was just, there was really nobody around. And I think that death is hard for people.
Moving through the grief and trying to live in the home where Justin died and having to...
I can't imagine having gone through this experience without the follow-up care with hospice, without the support groups, without the individual care that we received. Redefining hope. Your whole life has changed, so everything you do is redefined after you've lost somebody. He was just my little guy, you know. I miss him.
You never get over someone you love. You make a new relationship with them. You learn to live without them. You make a relationship of memory and spirituality. So I can't hold my child on my lap anymore, but I can hold the memories of him close in my heart, and I can do things in his honor. You know, I can plant my garden, or I can have my rose bush, and when it comes up, I can remember the fragrance of his life to me.
Sadly, the most frequent comment received following a loved one's death is that the family wished that they had started hospice earlier, wished they had known sooner about the place that helps people live with dignity and redefine hope.
We so much honor and welcome and celebrate people's births, and everybody deserves that same kind of honor and care and support at the end of their lives.
To me, it's about love and caring. It almost felt like they were all there just for us, and that's neat, you know, and that's exactly what we needed, you know, exactly.
Hospice, the people in it, the volunteers, the nurses, the counselors, they're all angels, and they really are. They deal with a subject that our culture doesn't deal with. We don't go there much.
The decisions that have to be made under such stress is very, very hard. And so if you can do a lot of that with help of hospice, it is a gift beyond compare that you can give to your children.